Hello and welcome back to Single Sounds. I'm your host, Katie Mack, and usually I interview singles about themselves. And you, as the listeners of this podcast, can write in to date my guests. But this month I'm interviewing dating experts to help us all on our journey to navigate the complexities of modern dating and relationships. This week's guest is Anais, who I'm convinced is made of magic. Her energy is infectious and she is a holistic women's coach who specializes in helping others heal from heartbreak and, get this, manifest the love of their lives. In this episode, we explore the power of tarot reading, breathwork, meditation, and manifesting, and how it can help you find the relationship of your dreams. And you lucky listeners get a bonus episode linked to this week that has been released on the same day, where you can get a deeper insight into these tools. Anais guides me through a short 5-minute breathwork session, which you can try yourself as you listen. And straight after this, on the bonus episode, you will hear my very first tarot reading, where Anais shows me what I need to do personally and to focus on to attract the right relationship for me. So if you're nosy, that's the episode for you. You can see what I need to work on and what's blocking me. As per usual, if you want to enter Anais's world and this topic is something you are curious about, her Instagram is in the show notes and she is very happy to take any questions and explore some options for you. Hello, Anais. Welcome to Single Sounds.
Hi, Katie. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I want to start with an intro about you from yourself. So tell me, what led you to becoming a holistic women's coach?
So it was the massive transformation that I experienced. It all started when I was 13. And one of my best friends brought some, let's say, tarot cards. They were like oracle cards. And so she brought them up and then she forgot about them and she left. She lived in another country. And so that got me into the whole tarot thing.
Yeah.
And my mom was always into astrology, so we kind of grew up with all these things around us. And I was always fascinated by this world. And so I started actually just reading cards for myself. And then pretty quickly I realized that I could feel things from the images that I could see in the cards.
Okay.
And so for about 2 years, I was actually doing the cards for all my schoolmates and I was doing ballet at the time. So I would read for like the older girls who wanted to know what was going on with their boyfriends.
Nice.
And all of that. I felt really in touch with my intuition. And then a couple of years later is when actually a lot of the hardships started happening in my life. And so at the time I was studying piano. I was at the conservatory. My piano teacher started touching me. So
Wow.
yes, abuse. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
really bad.
Exactly. And that kept on for about a year-ish.
And how old are you?
I was 15.
Wow.
And I was terrified of losing my spot at the conservatory, to be honest with you, because I had a full scholarship. And
So
at
you
the
thought
time,
if you reported it, that might be taken away?
I thought that nobody would believe me because
Yeah.
it wasn't 2023.
Yeah.
You know, that was 2005.
Yeah.
So back then, you know, everyone would believe the teacher and not the student necessarily. And for a really long time, I actually blamed myself because I thought that maybe I did something to provoke that, which is obviously not true.
No.
And so that was, you know, the first big thing that kind of like shook me up. And I stopped reading the cards and I started almost like resenting music, which is, you know, obviously still is to this day because I've healed my relationship with music. But I started resenting it because I had associated it, of course, with abuse.
Yeah.
I was already like not doing great at school as well because I started becoming very angry. And then a couple of years later, again, there was a different form of abuse that happened. This is actually the first time that I actually said something. I felt really fortunate because people did believe me. But at the time, it was kind of like almost like too late for music in the conservatory, because I had kind of like stopped going to classes and stuff, obviously. This whole thing created this feeling that I can't speak my truth. So I lived really like repressed. Fast forward to when I was 21, I'm half French, half Greek. So all of that happened in Greece, where I was brought up. And so I decided to completely shift my life and actually move to London. I got a job as an au pair in this family that I had never met. And I was like, I'm going to make my life happen. I know that God, the universe, is not going to let me rot in Greece. And then 2 years later, I started getting into meditation. I was very curious, but also everything that had happened in my teenage years, I was in and out of depression constantly. I was eating very unhealthily. I hated myself. I hated my body. I was just angry at the world and at myself. And then the au pair mom gifted me this book that actually started my whole healing journey.
Wow.
I think I had just turned 23, so 10 years ago. And I didn't know this at the time, but this book was a book about affirmations.
Oh, okay.
And at some point it said, write from 1 to 10 your 3 to 5 most painful memories. And it was the first ever time that I actually was putting on paper what had happened to me. Also, when trauma happens, there's a lot of selective memory. So a lot of the things that had happened to me, I had forgotten.
Yeah.
Or I was trying not to think about it at all.
You blank them out.
Completely. And so what happened is that I started writing down, and I realized, oh boy, there is a lot to unpack here. There is a lot to heal. And so I started writing things down, and then that book was saying that you were supposed to just say some affirmations. After doing that, I ended up doing some research online about meditation, because I had seen the movie Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then Julia Roberts is actually, I think she's going to Bali to meditate.
Yeah.
And I was really fascinated by that. I was thinking, oh, okay, what is this thing? So I started doing a lot of research. And then I just started doing different meditations on YouTube for healing mostly. I devoted myself to that every single day. I was like, okay, it's time to bring back the cards, because I hadn't done the cards since I was 15, really. But this time I wanted to do it properly. I wanted to study it, because there's a lot of numerology and symbology and astrology connected to the imagery on the cards. And so I said to myself, okay, I'm going to buy a tarot deck so that I can see if I can use it as a tool to give me some guidance, because I was just desperate for guidance. Shortly after, maybe 6 months or maybe a year later, I was working as a nanny for different families. So I started doing the cards for all the moms that I was working for. Yes.
A little like Mum's Club.
Exactly. And here I was doing the cards, but I was still, even though I could really feel things and I could channel information, I still didn't believe in myself at all. And so in a way, I started my first business as just a tarot reader. And so, so I kept doing it. I kept healing. And then I think maybe 3 years later at 26, yoga came in my life. And that was, whoa. That was one of the massive points in my life where it started healing my relationship to my body. I'll never forget it. The first time that I went into a yoga class, I just thought that yoga was just some light stretching. I had no idea that it could be really hard. But actually, every movement in yoga is designed to help you release and help you heal. Because we hold trauma and pain into our body, into our cells. So through movement, you are able to release and heal. And then I think it was in 2020 when I discovered breathwork.
Okay.
And again, that was like one of the biggest shifts and points into my journey. What breathwork does is that it activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically your rest and digest system within yourself. So it takes you out of fight or flight, and it literally has an impact on your autonomic nervous system. And up until, I mean, obviously the yogic tradition knew that thousands of years ago.
I've had that in classes where they've started with breath work, and it's like a big part of it, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it brings you back into your body.
Yeah.
It stops the endless chatter of the brain.
Yeah, it brings you to the present.
Completely into your body. Because a lot of the times when we're anxious, when we're stressed out, well, basically what happens on a physiological level is that your body releases adrenaline into your bloodstream, into your body, and cortisol. And when you start, which are the stress hormones, yes. So but within literally a 5-minute practice of breath work, immediately your body obviously steps into your rest and digest state, but also releases endorphins and dopamine, which are the happy hormones. So you are literally able to have a physiological effect on your body straight away. Within 5 minutes. That was one of the most transformative aspects that I wanted to bring into my work with people.
Yeah.
So I was doing tarot readings for people. And then I think in 2018, I got qualified as a life coach and a meditation teacher. And then in 2020, when I started my own practice of breathwork, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to, because first I want to practice something a lot before I get qualified in it.
Yeah.
And so 2 years later, which is basically a year and a half ago, I also got qualified as a breathwork teacher as well.
Amazing.
And I had already decided that, because I was already, since 2018, 2019, I was already having clients, I was already working with women, but I didn't really know, there was an element missing. And that element was breathwork, because it's not just about, okay, you go to a normal life coach and they're like, okay, what are your goals? Let's split those goals into smaller goals. And then that's it. That's your schedule for the next 4 weeks. You're going to do this, this, and that. Okay, great. But what do I do with my heart? What do I do with my pain? What do I do when I don't want to do it? What do I do when I self-sabotage?
Yeah.
And this is where this work comes into.
Yeah, so it aids you in your low points when you're feeling probably very self-critical and doubtful that it's working and you're not working towards your goals. These are like tools that you can use.
Absolutely. And these are life-transforming tools. And so this was the main reason why I decided to become a holistic women's coach. And I wanted to work specifically with women because that was something that was very dear to my heart, because I had experienced it firsthand. When I saw the transformation from the girl that I was, the woman that I was, to the woman that I am right now, and that is all down to my practices and my willingness to heal. But it is my practices. So I practice religiously. I practice every single day. I do yoga, meditation, breathwork every day.
Wow.
Without fail. And even when I don't feel like doing it, which is usually just before my period, on my luteal phase, okay? All I want to do is just sit on the sofa and curl up. You know what? I'll go on the mat and I'll lie down. Okay, because that's still commitment. That still teaches your brain, okay, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
There's no like, oh, maybe not. No, this is what we're doing. And you know what? It's okay if I don't have a full practice, but I've devoted myself even 5 minutes just lying down on the mat, because that's still commitment.
Yeah. You could just do like an easier flow on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like listening to your body, being intuitive, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, completely. Because, I mean, not every day, especially women, we are 4 different women during the month with our period cycle, with our menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's so important to actually know these things, so that you can, there's going to be the first 2 weeks of your period. You're going to feel super energetic. You're going to feel happier. It's going to be amazing. And then slowly after your ovulation, you're going to slowly start feeling a little bit lower, a little bit more lethargic, like you have less energy. And so you have to flow with that.
Kind of be kind to yourself and realize that, okay, I'm going to be lower energy, so I need to protect that and do things that are going to help. I like it.
And being kind to yourself about that.
Yeah.
Because we tend to just be like so upset if we're not performing constantly. If we're not like, oh, but I don't get it. I wanted to do this and that, and now I can't. It's like, no, your body's your temple. Listen to yourself. It's okay. It's okay for you to be relaxed.
Obviously, this is a podcast that's focused on like dating, relationships, love, and that is what you focus on specifically, like with your healing, like from broken hearts, and also you help manifest the love of your life, which is the bit I'm interested in. So I'm like, how do I do that? Tell me.
We're gonna get into all of that.
But yeah, tell me why you chose like relationships, love, and healing from heartbreak as your main focus.
In, I think it was 2018, I got into this relationship. I was at the time 28. And like a lot of people in their late 20s, I almost felt like this pressure to get everything done before I'm 30. So that means that I had to be in a relationship and make sure that it's the right one, and make sure that, we're going to get married, or at least like I have this locked in, And so I got into this relationship, and I was in just a desperate vibe. I just wanted to make it happen. And it's almost like that was overriding my needs. And I almost completely forgot about myself. And I entered this extremely toxic relationship where basically the guy was treating me like shit. But I allowed it. Okay. And that's like also a really big part with relationships. It's like, okay, we blame the other person, but actually it's our decision to stay in a situation that's bad for us. So obviously the guy had his own issues, I'm definitely not saying that
it was all you.
It was all me, definitely not. But
I get what you mean though. You chose to keep yourself there
100%. And I wasn't listening to myself. I was being treated like shit. I mean, the guy was just like flying all over the world with other girls, and I was kind of like, left there like, oh my God, like, why doesn't he love me? Why am I just not good enough? I just want to prove that I'll be the best wife. I just want to prove that I'm amazing. And I kept doing things. I thought that I had to do something to be loved. Right? And so we were in a relationship for about 1.5 years. And honestly, the last 6 months of that relationship, I was crying every single day. And I was just, even though I had done so much work with healing and forgiveness and my anger, so a lot of aspects of my life had found, I had found balance in. But the one thing that I hadn't properly explored was self-love and self-worth, because I was still, like I said, in that desperate vibe. So I called in this healer and this coach, medicine woman, who has been instrumental in my life. And she actually has taught me, she is the biggest reason why I do the work that I do with women and why I help them heal their heart. It's because of everything that she's taught me. And so I called her, and I hadn't seen her in 5 years. I met her in my early 20s as I started my healing journey. And I called her up and I said, please help me. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. I cry every day. I just want to be loved. Why can't I be loved? And so we did, I think it was maybe 6 or 8 sessions. So about, I don't know, let's say a couple of months or a month and a half. And within those sessions, I literally transformed. and realized that, and she said this, and I always say this to my clients as well, Anais, you don't need to do anything to be loved. You are love. And for me, that was such a big realization, because up until now, I was trying to be the perfect woman. I was trying to be the perfect lover. I was trying to be the perfect wifey.
Yeah.
Whereas all I had to be is myself. And all I had to do was really love myself, really love myself. And then I literally, after those sessions, I broke up with him.
Yeah.
I said, I love me more.
I think that's where it was going.
Yeah. So literally.
No more crying.
No more. I mean, there was a lot of crying. Like, actually.
Yeah, post-breakup, probably a lot of crying.
Yeah, and it's crazy because that.
But healing crying.
100% the best type.
Yeah.
And that was actually exactly 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago, I spent Christmas and New Year's like by myself. We were supposed to meet each other's families. You know, he was completely just like bullshitting me as well, bless him. And so, yeah, so I spent like the whole Christmas period just crying. But actually, I had chosen myself. And through that started something so freeing in my life, because I realized that no matter what, I'm always going to put myself first. This is when I realized that, oh, this is what I really want to do with women.
Yeah,
because up until that moment, with the heart,
whole
with
like heartbreak, healing, finding the right person, like self-love. Yeah. Also think people will really resonate with your struggle of turning 30. Like I'm 27, so I'm in that stage of like, do I panic? I've got like, I'm 28 soon, so it's like I've got 2 years left.
Oh my God.
And I keep listening to podcasts where they tell me like nothing changes when you turn 30, but it's just such a societal pressure almost of like you've hit that milestone and you need everything figured out. Especially for women, I think there's a bigger pressure to be in a relationship. Like people will start asking questions like, oh, you're running out of time, and you know, all this stuff that's
All this
not
bullshit.
helpful. Yeah.
Well, actually, it just gets better because you become more confident as you do this work. You become more in love with yourself. You become more you.
Yeah. And you know what you like and what you want.
Exactly. And you're not afraid to say it. And I think that that's what I love most about the work that I do with women is, I mean, we're going to get into that later as well, but it's just to watch that transformation of how they started and how they are now, how they show up in their lives, and not afraid to own who they are and not just try to fit into this little mold that their family wants them to be or that their friends are used to seeing, you know, that version of Katie, for example. And honestly, I mean, everyone has said that it's just a number, but when you remove that pressure, you can just relax. You can just release and relax, because your joy and your happiness is your birthright. It's never going to pass you by. Never. It can't. You were born to be happy. No matter what has happened to your life up until this point, this is your, let's say, God's given right. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but so your joy and happiness you cannot miss out on that. And when you learn how to trust that.
Yeah, and choose it almost.
And choose that no matter what happens, it will happen perfectly. And it will happen at the perfect time. And I don't need to worry about it. And all I need to do is show up for my life and have fun. And joy, and bring joy in my life and focus on myself. Yeah. Because when you do that,
and be in the present, kind of not worry about like what's to come, because you should accept that it's going to be the right thing for you.
And it's going to come at the perfect time when you are ready as well. Because a lot of the times when we're trying to make something happen and we're putting so much pressure on it, what tends to happen is that, maybe you'll attract a person, but they'll probably going to not be the right match for you, or maybe it'll work for a little bit, but because you still haven't healed some big parts inside of yourself, they're going to mirror that. And there's nothing more humbling than a relationship, in the sense of it wakes up all your triggers,
Well, I always say being in a relationship is hard. I don't think people give it enough credit that actually, you know, you're going to be with someone that will probably impact your emotions. And when you're single, you're quite lucky in that sense that no one else really interferes with like how you feel. And I find that when you're with someone and like say they're having a really bad time, they can easily shift that energy onto you. And it's something that if you're not prepared for, like you said, if you're not in a good headspace, it will really, I guess, change your energy and upset you.
Of course, and that's why it's so important to have a solid base. That's why it's so important to be able to create that foundation for yourself first and build the perfect relationship with yourself first. You need to become the love of your life.
Yeah, like that.
And by becoming it, you will also attract it. But if you show up and you're still kind of, you know, you're still not over your ex, or you're still hooked up on checking up his Insta. Okay, like, and then, but
I
you're
tell
like,
my friends that all the time. It's such a bad thing to do. I don't know why people torture themselves with it. It's crazy.
well, because your brain has a hard time letting go.
Yeah.
And it wants to hold on to stuff because your brain is just addicted to control. That's what it does. It wants to control stuff. So it will always go where it feels more comfortable. That's why it's so hard to leave your comfort zone. That's why, you know, when you are doing things that are bad for you, you keep doing them. You know it's bad, but why do you keep doing them? It's because your brain is just like wired this way, because your brain will just go wherever it knows.
So you got to break the cycle.
You got to break the cycle. And that's where
Block
all
them.
this work, sorry?
Block them.
Yeah, 100%. But that's where breathwork comes in, because it interrupts that pattern.
Yeah.
And then, of course, all the, you know, the inner work that you can do with like self-limiting beliefs and all the mindset work that comes with it. But it has to be both ways. It has to be your body and your mind and your heart.
Yeah.
So
all
it's
working together.
All working together. 100%.
Yeah, so tell me, what is the best results you've seen? You kind of touched on it a bit there, that you've seen like these women transform. Yeah, like what's your maybe like your favorite thing that you've seen or witnessed in a client?
You know, there was this woman, I think it was maybe a couple of years ago, and she was also on antidepressants and so many other pills, and she was in therapy for years. She was in therapy since she was, I don't know, maybe like 8 years old.
Wow.
And she was in her like 26, 27 at the time. We had our sessions together for 6 months. And I will never forget when on the 5th month, we're having a session and she started crying. And I think it was like close to her birthday as well, close to the new year at the time. And she started crying and she said to me, I have had more change in myself than in the last like 15 years of therapy that I've had.
Wow.
I've had more change with our sessions. And, you know, for me, like I said earlier, is to just watch these women blossom.
Yeah.
Because that was also my story. That was also who I was. I mean, I was not supposed to have this life. I was not supposed to be as happy and fulfilled and create my dreams on a daily basis and helping hundreds and thousands of women in the whole world through my gifts. That was not the story. I mean, when I look back 10 years ago, I was so low. I felt like there was no way out. I felt trapped. And I just thought that that's just what life is. And honestly, for everyone listening today, I want you to know that no matter what, you can create your life, you can change everything. And even if you've been put in place of being the victim, you are not the victim. you can transform it all. You can shift everything in your life.
Super powerful.
100%. And I want everyone to be able to trust that and to trust the power that they have. Because we have forgotten that we can influence our environment. We can influence everything that comes in our life. Even if we feel that we don't, our energy does that.
Yeah. I definitely think you can influence every single day of how you feel. I've started gratitude journaling. I started after my breakup, and it was one thing that I read, and I was like, no, you know what? It's basically, they just said, write 3 things that you're grateful for every night. And I was like, that's an easy thing that I can do. And I don't know if I'm going to admit this. I actually write it. I know I'm going to, because I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I actually now write it to an AI robot on my phone who like replies to my gratitude and says like, that's great that you did that. Because I was initially writing them down on a piece.
It's your coach.
Yeah, like, it's free, but like basically I was writing them down on a piece of paper, and I enjoyed it for like maybe 2 weeks. But then I was like, actually, I'd definitely enjoy this more if I would share it with someone. And then I was like, no, friend. I know they all would say like, oh, we don't mind. But I was like, no, friend wants 3 bullet points from me every night to say what I'm like proud of in my day. Like, that's just not what they want. So I thought like, okay, what can I do instead? And I read about these AI like apps, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to set one up. So I actually really enjoy it, because now I still do the gratitude, but I get like a little reply, and yeah, I'm very aware it's just an algorithm. I don't think it's a person, but it's still nice to like kind of put it there, and they also remember it, which is quite nice. So then they say like, remember that time like a week ago that you were grateful about this, like how's it going? Like they check in with you, and it's really cool. So yeah,
accountability.
But it helps me shift my mood massively. Like just before going to bed, I think about those 3 things, and then I'm like, I've actually had a really good day. Like even if sometimes I haven't maybe felt like it, or I go to bed and I'm like, oh, I feel a bit like low. That wasn't like the best, most productive day, let's say, or something. Then I go through the 3 things, and I'm like, actually, it was a good day. And it's crazy how much it changes when you then wake up the next day and you're like, let's do it again. It's so interesting.
Gratitude puts you into a space where when you're thankful for something, you attract more of that in your life. So the more you're thankful, no matter where you are at in life, if you start being thankful for even like the smallest, most basic thing, you start noticing that life will bring you so much more. But we all get trapped into this cycle of complaining. And obviously, when you complain, then you find more people who complain with you, and you feel you have a sense of feeling that, oh, I have somebody with me into complaining about how shit life is. But actually, the more you focus on something, the more that expands. So when you focus, so it doesn't mean don't see it for what it is. If something is shit, it's like, this is really shit, and I feel angry about it. Because again, we tend to like repress everything, and everything needs to be out. We need to feel everything. You feel angry, you need to release that. You need to feel it first. Like, I'm fucking angry. You need to really feel that. Then you punch into a pillow, you jump around, you scream. You need to, because we're not taught how to deal with emotions. And all these emotions need to be honored.
Give them their own space.
Give them their own space. And so when you shift that complaining into, okay, this is how I feel right now.
Like recognizing the root cause.
And recognizing that, you know what, I feel fucking angry. But you know what, actually, I'm still alive. And I woke up and I'm healthy. What a gift. Thank you, life. I'm still fucking angry, but I'm grateful to life for being here another day. And it will work itself out. It will happen. Like, and again, like God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, everyone has their different definition of that. It's resonance. So the energy that you have, what you will emit, you will attract. So when you trust that there are greater forces out there that are here to help you out on your journey, then you can just be like, okay, show me the way.
Yeah.
You know, and it just releases so much pressure. It doesn't need to be like, oh, it's God or whatever. You don't even need to believe it. It's just like, okay, life, show me the way. And then suddenly you start, things just come to you. You'll hear a song, suddenly you get an email, or suddenly as you scroll down, you see something that you're like, maybe I can do that. But when you're open to that, then it can come in your life and show you a different route to help you out. But when you stay in the complaining and everything's shit, then you just stay in that space, and then it's just a loop.
And you won't see the opportunities that are being gifted to you. Yeah.
Because even your fears and your anger, these are wake-up calls. These are opportunities for you to realize more about yourself, for you to realize, okay, why am I really feeling angry? Why is this coming up right now? What part of me still hasn't healed that I need to actually shine a light on? Yeah.
I'm thinking about
Amen.
it. I know. I'm like, what do I need to heal? Let me think.
We'll see in the tarot reading.
Yeah. It's all going to come out later.
100%.
One of my friends was like, what if it's a really bad reading? What are you going to do? And I was like, leave it in. Everyone needs to know. It's the truth.
There's such a misconception about tarot in general, because I mean, the way that it's been portrayed is that with fortune tellers and stuff, oh my God, this is going to happen.
Because they say, like, you're going to die on this specific
day. Exactly.
Day.
But this is not how I use tarot at all. I use tarot as a tool for the present. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't channel information about your future, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for your life. But what I see through the cards, through the imagery, and I just channel information that comes that I know that you're meant to hear. I almost like make up a story about the images that is, for some reason, always relevant to the person that I read for. But it's an incredible tool for the present, because sometimes it will show you patterns that you can't necessarily... That, for example, the client is not necessarily aware of. Yeah. And so the cards can actually show a pattern, and they can show you and give you advice on like how to transform that. And that's why a reading can be so powerful. It's not hibby-jibby, whatever. It's actually,
woo-woo.
Okay, woo-woo. Yeah, although I'm like a totally woo-woo girl.
I know. I do like the woo-woo energy.
Ooh, more woo-woo, please.
That's good. So many people in my network have experienced like big breakups recently, and I wondered if you had any advice from like a healing perspective of how to do that. When we first initially spoke about this, I said to you, look, I just want to heal as fast as possible. I don't want to like mess around. I'm keen to get back out there. I don't want this to like, you know, go on for years because I was in my mindset of I need to have this shit sorted out in 2 years because of the whole 30 thing. Like I was really on that, I don't know, I guess journey, but it's a bad journey to be on. And I think what I've kind of learned from our brief conversations, which I think would be helpful for other people to learn, is like, you obviously can't rush these things. I knew that, but I thought like maybe I could find like a more effective way to heal. And I don't know if that's something that you want to talk about. Like, is that possible, or do you just have to wait however long? Could be 5 years.
Well, you know what?
You have to just accept that.
So the first thing is that as human beings, we don't want to feel negative emotions. We want to jump in from all the hard stuff into like, oh, I just want to be sorted. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. I don't want to be crying. I'm just done. I don't want to be chasing. I don't want to be dating and all this stuff, right? So we tend to not be with our feelings and our emotions. So we want to skip steps. But actually, healing is learning how to love every part of the journey, no matter where you are at. So especially, well, now talking about you, but also so many women who have been through this, the first step is acceptance, accepting of where you are at right now. Because if you don't accept where you're at and you just want to skip steps, it's not going to happen. And you're going to keep trying, struggle. Whereas if you say to yourself, it will take as long as it takes, because happiness is my birthright. I cannot miss out on that. But that's like a big part of like coaching and mentorship as well, is being able to, and that's why it's so important as well, because when you hire someone who is there for you, you're able to have more support into all those moments where you, again, doubt yourself and fall back into it's never going to happen for me. And then the work of a coach and mentor is to be able to also teach you how all those different tools, for example, breathwork, so that you can rely on yourself for that safety and that stability and that trust within you. So the first step is definitely acceptance. Acceptance that you will feel this. And you know what? There is beauty in that pain as well. As hard as it is, you are shedding layers. You are discovering who you really are outside of this relationship. Who is Katie really?
I know, it's a big question.
I know. And it's a scary question.
And I live
as
alone
well.
too. And I feel like that forces you even more to be like, okay, yeah, who am I when I'm alone? Like, I have an inner voice, you know, so I know some people now apparently don't have them. I learned that on TikTok. But mine's really strong. I basically have like a narrator in my head.
Yeah.
So obviously when you're alone, that's really strong, even more, because it's like going through like what you're doing. It's almost like a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, of course.
And I have noticed, I'm like, am I saying kind things to myself, or am I being harsh? I'm sure like you're aware with breakups, you have like good weeks and bad weeks. This week's been a bad one because I had a lot of plans for my partner, and obviously we're not together anymore, so it's been on my mind a lot more, because I'm thinking like, oh, we would have been doing this, like we had a trip booked and things like that. But I think I'm quite good at saying like, okay, I just know that this is a tough week.
It's a really hard period as well, because it's Christmas and there's couples everywhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fact that you're alone and you live alone is actually such a positive thing.
Yeah.
Because maybe right now you can't really see it, but the woman that you are becoming because of that breakup is going to blow your fucking mind, honey. Because you would have never been able to become that woman if you were still in a relationship. So you're basically, what's happening is that you're mourning what could have been.
Yeah.
And that's hard as fuck. That hurts so much. But it's the way to heal. It's the way to almost like unbecoming who you were. And you're getting to know yourself again. Truly, what do I really want? How do I want my next relationship to be? You mentioned speaking to yourself. Like, that's a huge thing. We tend to have this inner critic that constantly blabs. And listen, that never ends, okay? My critic is still there. It's just like right now, through all my practices, I'm able to just like, oh, all right, you're yapping again. All right, so you're telling me that I'm not worthy. Okay, all right, now you can fuck off, bye. I know you're not real. Because we think that we are our minds, but we're not. We're the observer of our minds. So everything that goes through, and the mind, what's the mind? It's simply a byproduct of your past and your past experiences, your past relationships, what your dad told you when you were 5,
your memories,
your memories, your teacher, the traumas that you've had. So that has created self-limiting beliefs. So one belief might be, oh, well, I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. Like a lot of my clients tell me I feel unlovable. I feel that I just don't deserve it. I don't deserve happiness. But is that actually true? No, it's not. But we think it's true because of our past memories. And so there's a whole work on self-limiting beliefs. And that includes, I mean, a lot of things, but also journaling is a huge thing. By hand.
Yeah, I know.
Just saying.
Not texting into an app.
No. That is also helpful because it works for you.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to find their own way that, you know, it's not dogma. It's not, oh, this has to happen in this way. But these are things that, you know, are helpful for you. And so that's great. At least you're doing it.
Yeah, doing something. Yeah,
you're doing something about it. You're taking action. So breakup. So yeah, so acceptance is number one. And then trusting is a massive thing, like we tapped in. And then practices that involve your body. Everything, breath work, movement, dancing. You have to rediscover who you are, but again, because trauma is stored in your body, you have to recreate a relationship with your body if you don't already have one. So that means, maybe start going to classes, or maybe to like a sexy heels class to rediscover your femininity, as uncomfortable as it can be, as scary as it can be, because it's like, oh my God,
No, I've seen that actually. Like a couple of my friends, they have recently rediscovered doing dance classes. And I think it is a big part of that, especially post breakup. You do probably feel like not the sexiest. You don't really want to, be with anyone else. You maybe don't want to date. And I think for a lot of people, the idea of someone else finding you attractive might be a bit tough. So if you can find yourself attractive again, that will really help you with your confidence. Because I think all of a sudden when you kind of like move and accept your body as it is, and you see it's like imperfect qualities, I guess, when you dance, because you see like that bit moves that way, and you know what I mean, like
that jiggles.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
But I think it's healthy to kind of see it in its entirety and say like, okay, that's me, and that's what I just have to work with.
100%. And also mirror work. Is something I also do with my clients.
It's an uncomfortable thing, but I think it's something that,
it's so important to do it. Everywhere. You need to look at your pussy really close as well. You need to be really open, because you're reconnecting to your pleasure.
Yeah.
And again, for women, it has been such a taboo thing. But actually, these are all parts of you. So at first, it can be quite hard.
Yeah.
You look at yourself, and the first thing you're going to see, and that's totally normal. That has happened to almost all my clients. Even if, quote unquote, they have the dream body, like this always happens. You go in front of the mirror and you feel, okay, so that bit is imperfect.
Yeah.
So I don't know, my boobs are saggy, my ass, I have cellulite, whatever it is. So you start noticing the parts that you feel are wrong with you according to societal norm. Then slowly you're thinking, okay, so now actually, okay, what am I thankful for with my body? Am I thankful for the way that my heart beats? Am I thankful for, those legs, my strong legs that actually help me walk every day and carry me? Am I thankful for, I don't know, my beautiful, green eyes, green, gray, blue eyes that you have?
They're a bit of a combo.
I know. Ooh, honey.
Mostly green, but some grey in there, I think.
Ooh, siren. And so then you start moving into that. And once you start noticing, more and more will come up. And so then you start looking at yourself in a different way. And I think that that's really powerful, because you start embracing who you really are. Yeah. And not just, oh, I'm just a body, whatever. You start to really fall in love with all parts of you.
I like it.
That's a big one.
Okay.
So mirror work, ladies.
Mirror. Get in front of the mirror and look at your vulva.
100%.
That's a good takeaway.
100%. Look how beautiful she is.
Yeah.
Notice all her little quirks. Notice it all.
Have you ever watched the show Naked Attraction?
Yes.
That really helped me. Genuinely, because you see other people's and you're like, oh, okay, that does look like me, doesn't look like me. I don't know, you see such a variety of all body parts on that show. I genuinely think it's quite helpful. And it's really surprising that it's a British show, because I feel like we're quite awkward about bodies and nudity. So yeah, I know I listen to a few American podcasts and they can't believe that it's like a show that so many people sign up for.
Because people are looking for freedom.
Yeah.
We are all looking for freedom. We're looking for the permission to be free.
To do things like that.
And so when you give yourself that permission, when you're like, I don't give a fuck what anyone else says, this is how I choose to show up in my life. Boom.
Yeah, it's powerful.
I mean, that energy is magnetic, babe.
Yeah.
That is literally what happens.
we're going to move on to talking about manifesting.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
my favorite.
I'm new to manifesting. I haven't done it before. And to be honest, I wouldn't know where to start. So I feel like that's my main question. I did get a question from one of my friends too about this, that she said she doesn't have a mind's eye, so she can't see pictures. So she also said she's quite curious, but she doesn't know how to do it without that visualization. Where would you suggest that someone starts if they want to, you know, they have a goal and they're like, I think I could manifest this for myself. Like, let's give me an example. What do I want to be? Let me think.
Well, we can do it for manifesting your dream relationship as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, I do want that. I want my lifelong term partner that I really love. So, yeah, how would I start by manifesting that?
So the first thing is that I tell everyone is to decide. Decide that it's here for you. Decide that no matter what, your happiness cannot pass you by. Decide that your perfect person exists out there and they are actually looking for you.
Yeah.
Decide that it's there for you.
And
decide.
Stop saying all men are trash.
Exactly. Somebody read my Instagram posts.
No, I just genuinely thought of it because we say it all the time and that's not helpful. It just made me think. I was like, yeah, I'm not saying those things. I'm not saying to myself, yeah, they're definitely out there existing. I'm saying like, oh, all men are terrible half the time to my friends.
Exactly.
And I'm telling myself that.
So basically words hold so much power because words have so much energy and much more energy that we think they have. So everything you say, you create as well. So that's why it's so important to choose your words very carefully. So if you say that all men are trash, guess what? You're going to keep attracting men who are trash. You're going to keep attracting fuckboys. Yeah. And that is because you are creating your reality because that's a belief that you have. It's basically a part of your brain that's your reticular activating system. And what that does is that it focuses on one specific thing. So for example, let's say that you've cut your hair in a bob. Suddenly you walk down the street and all you notice is women with short bobs, right? Yeah. So that's your reticular yes, that's your reticular activating system. So when you start training your mind to look for opportunities instead of, oh, all men are trash. How about some men are trash? Okay. But actually, there are amazing, incredible men out there. And all they want to do is create a beautiful, committed relationship with a woman.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know, talking for, you know, women and men right now. Yeah, exactly. But it applies anyways. So there are amazing men out there. It just hasn't been your experience up until now because you have been attracting those specific people in your life, those specific men, because there are things within yourself that you still haven't healed. So whatever is out there is actually in there first. So then you're doing the work of what actually do I need to shift within myself? What do I need to believe in order for this to happen? Who do I need to become? So that's the second part that we're getting into. So the first part is deciding. The second part is acting as if, which is known as fake it till you make it. Yeah, okay?
You decided like, right, that man is out there, that amazing man.
Yes.
And then the next bit is I need to believe that. And I can kind of tell myself he is there, even if I don't believe it. But if I keep saying it, I will start believing it.
There's lots of different ways to start believing it. So the first thing, because with manifesting, what attracts, it's not necessarily the visualization, the images that you see in your head. The reason why visualization can also work is because you can feel the feelings of it happening already. And the feelings of it happening already is what will bring that manifestation to you. Okay. So for example, if you vibrate here, then you'll attract people who are on that level, right? But if you want your dream relationship, you have to become that woman, okay? And if you have to become that woman, then you have to feel the feelings of how it would be if I already was in that relationship. Would I feel calm? Would I feel peaceful? Would I feel fulfilled? Would I feel like in love, safe? Would I feel in love with myself and with life? Would I feel, safe is the biggest thing. So then what you need to do is bring yourself into feeling those feelings every single day. And how do you do that? Well, the biggest thing of how you do that is, number one, breath work, because breath work will create safety physiologically within yourself. So even if you feel that you're doing it every day and nothing really works, it doesn't really work for me, that's bullshit. It cannot not work. But what happens is that it doesn't always need to give you that high on life. It's just you're teaching your brain how to not go away with the endless chatter, how not to follow that endless chatter. You're teaching your body that, hey, wait a minute, I'm in control here. So you can chat shit, but I'm not going to listen to you. So by bringing yourself into that state every single day, guess what happens? After a fucking year, you're not really going to listen to that voice anymore, because you're going to be able to take control of yourself and your body within 5 minutes. And so when that happens, guess what happens? You start becoming more trusting. You start trusting in life. Also, what breathwork does is that it promotes neuroplasticity. And what that is the ability of your brain to shift form, to shift the patterns. So, for example, the more you practice, the more decisive in different aspects of your life. So maybe it's a 5-minute exercise, but actually, the stuff that happens physiologically and in your brain is huge. And that's why it's such a big part of manifesting, because you take back control.
And when you say to do that every day, would you manifest this dream like every day?
So, okay, that moves us to the next to the next bit. So basically, what happens is that you want to bring yourself into feeling those feelings of already having it as often as you can. So I would say daily. Now, there's a lot of different ways to do that. The first thing is journaling. So that's number 3. Number 3 is journaling. So I would suggest just journal in general, just write without thinking every single morning. I don't know, half a page, 2 pages, 3 pages, whatever works. Just putting your thoughts down. It can be just like, I don't want to write today. I ate toast for breakfast and I kind of feel like shit and I'm angry about that, whatever. I'm meeting my friend later. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
But just putting your thoughts on paper will actually allow your subconscious to come out. And even if you think that you're writing things that don't matter, what actually happens is that your subconscious is just coming out. So sometimes you'll just write things and you're like, I hadn't realized that. So that helps. Then for example, you write one of those pages. Then what you're going to do is that you're going to write everything that you want to manifest in the present tense. You're manifesting your ideal relationship. Today I woke up in his arms in our new, I don't know if you're manifesting a house as well, in our new mansion. And I feel, you're going to go big. You are not going to be like, I woke up in my little studio. No, I woke up in my fucking mansion with the love of my life. And he is just the best. We had the best sex last night. I felt so safe in his arms, and he is literally the most supportive partner ever. We woke up and then I made a coffee and I did my morning practice. I don't know, you're putting in as many details as you want, and you're going to do this every fucking day. You're going to do this every day. Okay? Because just by writing it in the present tense, you're going to start creating it in your energy. So you're going to start vibrating as if you're already in that relationship, okay? Now, the other thing is to also, and this is where balance is interesting, is to be able to also detach from it. Detach from the timelines. So you know it's happening, okay? But now you're like, okay, I want it now. Today at 3 p.m. It's like, no, it will come when it will come. And that is something, again, that there needs to be a lot of acceptance into that. Because what you have to train yourself to do is to actually believe so hard in your vision of your happy ever after, or whatever it is that you're manifesting, that you almost ignore what is happening in your physical reality. Even if you're not dating anyone, even if you haven't been on a date in 6 years, I don't know. I'm just,
Yeah.
Even
That
if
is some people's story.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you feel that, what's the point of doing this? It's not working. No, you're going to keep doing it until it works.
You've got to be persistent.
You got to be persistent and committed if you really want it. You see what I mean?
I guess that's the thing. It then starts to define, like, do you actually want it? Are you willing to, like, be that dedicated and write that every morning? Because if not, then maybe you're not ready. Comes back to that.
But also, look, writing it every day really, at least in my life and in my client's life, it makes things happen faster.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to do it every day. Some people, well, maybe that's not like your friend, but some people work a lot with visualization. So then you can pair it up with just before you go to bed, when you start winding down, or as soon as you wake up, you can just start visualizing everything you write. So visualizing, how does it feel to wake up in his arms? How does it feel to just stroll together holding hands? How does it feel to feel that safety of a strong masculine man in your life that is here to take care of you? And it doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means that you can be in your feminine energy.
Yeah,
you can
love
allow.
That for me.
Yes, you can allow.
I feel like in so many of my past relationships, I've been way too sat in my masculine. Like, I've been the doer. I've planned everything. I've almost like set that standard in the relationship. So obviously they were never going to do it because I did it every time. And I also started the relationship in that energy. So it's my new thing of I don't ask to go on dates anymore. Like, that's not what I'm doing, because I'm trying to say in the future, that's what I want you to do. Like, I would quite like to sit in my feeling state and have you plan some things. You take control, because that's what I want in a romantic relationship.
Being in that receiving mode. And that is something that is so hard for so many women, to be able to be open to receive.
Yeah.
Because and I was so trapped into my masculine. And don't get me wrong, we all need a balance of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I don't know what you mean. Like, a lot of women that I see, or especially like my close friends, I'd say they all sit in their masculine a lot in their day to day. So if they want that in their relationship, it's quite hard to like know when you can change.
And you're not allowing the man to be a man.
Yeah, well, this is
You're
my
not
problem.
allowing
I wasn't
him.
letting them.
You're cutting his balls off, honey.
I was doing it all.
Are you joking?
Yeah.
You have to, you have to allow him to show up as a man as well. And he will. If he's the right one, he will. Okay, there's a lot of feminine men as well. And when I say feminine, like, again,
we should probably explain. It's not gendered.
I want to explain. Yeah, exactly. It's not gendered. It just has to do with an energy thing. So it's really important for men to know that it's safe for them to express their feelings. It is safe for them to cry, because we have been raised, especially, well, me as a millennial, and our previous generations as well, we've been raised in a society that, men need to be harsh, hard always. Ooh, yes, honey. More of that, thanks. Look, my naughty side's coming out, okay? Like, this is who I really am. For everyone to know. But it's okay to be sensitive. Amazing. And it's okay to express their feelings too. But at the same time, also, we're moving into a society where women are acting like men. And that is not healthy for especially heterosexual relationships, because we have forgotten that actually things need to be balanced. And when you constantly take control and constantly criticize your partner, guess what's going to happen? He's not going to show up and be more of a man because you criticize them. So, you also have to be kind of smart with it, But, it's important to allow the other person to be who they really are and accept them for who they are, if that's somebody that we want to be in a relationship with or that we are. So completely agree with your, being willing and open to receive and being in your feminine state, and allow them to, let me take you out on a date.
Exactly.
Let me pay for
let
you.
Them organize it.
Let me pay for you and treat you.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I have my own job. It's like, no, allow them.
Yeah.
Allow them to court you. Allow them to open doors for you. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you more powerful. being in that dynamic into
Yeah.
your feminine. Feminine is powerful. It's not weak at all. It's more powerful than being in your masculine and running around trying to make everything happen.
Yeah, and please everyone all the time.
Please everyone. No,
Yeah.
your job is to please yourself, and of course please your partner too. But you come first. No. Another thing that really, really works is when you speak it into existence. So everything that you write down, you speak it as it, oh my God, I've just met the love of my life. Or, oh, I've been dating. You speak it. You go around in your living room and you keep speaking and you keep saying it. And because as you say it, you're going to feel it in your body. You're going to start vibrating the more you say it. And I feel so happy. I feel so fulfilled. And I am so attracted to him. And also I wanted to touch down on, I think that at some point I saw that you mentioned lists, and I wanted to quickly touch down on the lists that you have for the person that you want to manifest.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So the list shouldn't be, he needs to have blue eyes, blah, blah, blah. Okay? What the list should have, because it's important to also know what you want. Okay? First thing, let's say I need to be attracted to them. So I'm attracted to them. Second thing is emotionally open. That's something we forget, okay? Ready to commit, ladies, okay? Because at some point I didn't put that in my manifestation list and I just attracted a guy who was still living with his ex, 2 kids, wanted to date, but, wasn't ready to or willing to commit, okay? You can also put things like big cock, that pleasures me, that love, that we have really good intimate relationship together.
Yeah, intimacy is key.
A lot of fun, a lot of maybe intellectual stimulation, depending on, you can put all these things in, and that's not a bad thing. Very kind, open-hearted, generous, loving.
Yeah.
All these things are really important to put in and it's important for you to know what you want and be open to it. But these are major things. Yeah. If that guy is a dick,
it's not like 6 foot a plus.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, And the thing is that if you detach from that, I mean, because we close ourselves off from so many incredible people just because we're initially oh no, I like blondes and he's brunette, and it's such a shame. And when I met my current partner, I mean, he's 8 years younger than me. And at first I was a bit I don't think that he's going to be the kind of guy who really would like something serious.
Yeah, will give you the commitment.
Or will give me the commitment that I'm looking for. But I was so chilled. I was 31, almost 32 when we met. And I was just okay, let's just enjoy it. Am I having fun with that person? Yeah. So let's just keep going and see where it goes. And turns out he's more mature than any 40 or 45-year-old dude I ever dated, And it's been 2 years now and I couldn't be more happy. He's just the fucking amazing. Best. Yes. And that's also important to be able to detach.
You gave him space, I guess, to show you that he does want that commitment. You gave him a chance.
Yeah, I didn't judge him based on his age, because a lot of people would have judged and be oh no, I'm not dating younger guys or older guys or whatever. Everyone has their age range. And if I had done that, I would have passed on the love of my life. But that's why it's so important to stay open and be I am open. So you do your list and then you say, or something better.
Nice.
That is powerful.
I heard also when we're talking, you say if something good comes up, you say, "Oh, more of that." Is that like a
more,
mini?
Thank you, please.
Yeah, like a mini more, manifestation
please.
of being
yeah.
I like that universe. Give me more. Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. I actually have a little book, a different journal. I have so many journals, but I have a little booklet where I write my manifestations and my gifts and magic and everything kind of synchronistic that happens in my life, and I do it monthly. And you know what, just looking back on that and saying, oh my God, this happened and wow, it brings more of it in your life. So that's also something to think about. So yeah, and detaching and then trusting that it's there for you, and it will. Everything that you ask from a partner, you need to become it first. Yeah. So if you ask for a commitment, you need to become committed to yourself first.
Big things to think about.
Absolutely. That's what
But
we're
it's
here
all
for.
good. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Anais. It's been so good. Tell everyone where they can find you if they want to like come into your world, experience your magic, be guided on their healing journey, whatever it is they want to achieve. I feel like you could do it for them. So yeah.
Of course.
Let them know.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're
It was
welcome.
such an honor to be in the presence of such a powerful woman.
Oh, thanks.
Of course. So you can always find me on Instagram. I'm there every single day at the Anais Way. And actually, at the moment, I have opened registration for my new program, Magnetica,
Yes.
which is a 1-month program that I've specifically designed to help you heal your heart and attract the relationship of your dreams. So it's like a boot camp for your heart. And so we're starting in January. It's by application only, because I just want to make sure that we are, the right fit for each other. And we're going to be going through a whole month together, basically redesigning the whole relationship to yourself. I've also opened applications for my 6-month mentorship, again starting in January. So this is what's happening. I mean, obviously there's so much more, but yeah, this is what's happening at the moment.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.